Welcome to Grounded with John Tester and Maritza Giorgio. And we have our guest today, former Representative Joe Walsh, of course, host of The Social Contract. I probably don't need to tell anybody here that. Um, Joe, you represented Illinois' 8th district for one term. And I'm so excited to talk to you because you've been a Republican, an independent, and now a Democrat. And you've been through all of it, right? So I can't wait to talk to you about that transformation.
Well,
What the fuck, huh?
yeah,
Jeez.
I'm glad to have Joe on too because today is the first time I've met Joe. You would think everybody would know one another that served in Congress, but simply not the case.
Yeah.
And he's good to have on because we before we got on air we said, "Do we call you Joe?" And he said, "Joe, shithead, anything works." So I like that. It
Just like you, yeah.
yeah,
Just like John.
yeah.
Just like Senator Tester.
Come on now. Hey, blah blah blah. So let's just start this
Well,
off.
hold on, though. Hold
Come
on,
on.
hold
Okay,
on,
go
John.
ahead. Go ahead.
Because we might have people who follow the social contract joining who don't know who the hell we are. So
Thank
into
you.
this. So
Really?
I'll just say I'm Maritza Giorgio. I'm a journalist. I was laid off in November, and John Tester was laid off in November too, but he was a United States senator. So
Why
we
are you
started
laughing
this
about that?
Oops.
Now, come on. Now, that's a cruel laugh.
because
Right?
we both, all three of us really are the we're all three of us became unemployed,
Yes.
not by our
We're,
choosing. So
Yeah, but it was
we're on the outs.
in
we're on
in
the
in
outs.
in my particular case personally, it was a blessing. Shit, the Senate just got out. I'd be going
Yeah.
crazy, man. I'd be
Yeah,
going
you
crazy.
would be. That's a good
Yeah,
point because John Tester was the only working farmer in the United States Senate, and
yeah,
August is a huge harvest month. So I bet you would be
yeah.
going crazy. We're going to talk about that. But yes, so John Tester and I host the Grounded podcast and Substack, and we're so excited to join up with Joe today. So go ahead, Senator. You start us off.
Oh well, I got to tell people who I am too. Damn it! I mean,
Yes.
I,
Oh
I
yeah,
served
go ahead.
I served in the Senate from the great state of Montana for 18 years and chaired the Veterans Affairs Committee and chaired the Defense Subcommittee on Appropriations, which were the two largest budgets in the federal level. And the whole time I did farm and continue to farm the place that my grandparents homesteaded over 100 years ago. And it's the name of this podcast is Grounded. Farming drives most people crazy. It can't be grounded in the United States Senate, which shows you how screwed up Congress is, and it's gotten worse in the last 6 months. And we're going to get into that with Joe. Joe, though, look, Marisa alluded to it. You're a Republican, an independent, a Democrat. I long for the time, by the way, I long for the time where Republicans are conservative and Republicans believe in family values and sticking up for democracy and all that stuff. What was it that moved you from one side to the other?
And no bullshit. Maritza and Senator Tester, I mean it. It's awesome to be with you both. We're gonna laugh a lot, but let me get in a couple serious points. It's really good to be with you. And John Tester, no fucking bullshit. I so respect your career. And when I say I know you probably feel like you're too old. When I say I'd love to see you back in the Senate, I'd love to see you back in the Senate. So, but look, it's even bizarre. I'm writing the book right now, From the Tea Party to the Democratic Party in 14 years. Like my head is spinning. What a bizarre political time this is. I was a Tea Party asshole. I was a political jerk. People like me helped get Trump elected the first time. And John and Maritza, it was electing him the first time that opened my eyes, and I paid attention to him every day. And I said, this guy's a thoroughly horrible human being. And I then publicly opposed him. And John, once you publicly oppose Trump as a Republican, your career is over, and mine ended.
Wait, so
Yeah,
Joe,
so
what's the difference though between you and the people right now in Congress? Like you helped get him elected and said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa." Why aren't we seeing that now? Because I mean, I have a whole list of things I want to talk to you both about today. Things that were shocking, more shocking news this week. It's not unprecedented anymore. Like, what's the difference between you and everyone there now?
Because look at me and Tester right now. Here it is, a Sunday morning. We're doing a Substack live with you, Maritza. They're still members of the House or senators, and they fucking didn't want it. They don't want to give that up. Most of them can't stand Trump privately. But if you say that publicly, like our friend Jeff Flake, you end your career as a Republican. And it's John knows it's a nice gig. They don't want to give that up, sadly.
Yeah, but doesn't anybody understand that what's transpired, particularly over the last 6 months? I mean, set the first term aside, over the last 6 months, really goes counter to everything that we believe in, and privacy and people's opinions and having voices being heard and getting job reports and not get fired for a true job report. I mean, the list goes on and on, you know?
Yeah.
Doesn't anybody I mean, really, I get in trouble all the time. Got in trouble again yesterday for a friend of mine that called and said, "You say all those guys back there are good guys," and I say that guys and girls, and
Yeah.
and yet I don't see them stand up. I think Tester, I think you've got it wrong. They aren't good guys. I still believe they're good guys. They just got no balls. I mean, some of them do, but I mean, really.
It's a really interesting question, John, and I think I'm past the point of saying they're good guys. And I apologize if this is strong. I believe Trump's a fascist. Uh, he forced the Smithsonian to remove his name from an impeachment exhibit last week. Now, I'm not going to get mad at Trump about that. That's who he is. But why did the Smithsonian do what they did? I'm so tired of his enablers. John, all of my former Republican colleagues in the House and Senate are enabling this guy. I have a hard time saying, oh, all my buddies back in the House, they're good guys. I want to say that, but fuck it. They've let him do this scary stuff. I wrestle with that.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, I mean, it's a losing case if you start talking about it, because the truth is, let me think. Tillis, who's not going to run again.
Hmm.
I think he made that decision before
Yeah.
he decided to vote against the big beautiful bill or bullshit bill, however you want to put it. But Lisa was on the cusp. Um, um, Senator Collins, they tend to give walks to because she's from Maine and she's got to have some flexibility. But the bottom line is that I mean, just like everything, just like the woman that puts out the jobs before it gets fired. I
Yeah.
guarantee you aren't going to hear a peep from anybody that serves. In fact, I brought up the internet in Kennedy, the senator out of Louisiana, who's kind of fun to listen to, but he was talking about how you can't have inside analysis on what's going on. Well, Jesus Christ, if you can't trust the government, then we're on our way out for a democracy. If we can't trust what the people in government are telling us, because they're hired. They aren't hired as Democrats or Republicans or libertarians or MAGAs. They're hired because they have a job to do. And then we do it, they
Yeah.
get canned. Are you fucking kidding me? This is ridiculous. And no
So
Christian.
no, so John Tester, if any Senate Republican said what you just said right there, which is the absolute truth, they'd be done and they'd have a primary challenge tomorrow. So they keep their mouths shut. Look, I was a right-wing radio guy. I was on Fox News every day. The minute I came out against Trump, I lost all of that. We I know everybody says this, like I grew up with Reagan. Maurice, I know you weren't even born when Reagan got elected. Oh my God. I grew up with Reagan. I loved Reagan. John Tester, we've never had something like this. This is literally a cult. My former party has become like a cult. I don't remember this with any other Republican president.
But Joe, there's still a bunch of Republicans, including MAGA folks, that say, we loved Reagan. Reagan's the one that did it. Now I'm here to tell you, if you bring up Reagan and listen to him talk, it ain't nothing like what you're hearing now.
No.
And yet they don't see it. I mean, they don't see it. And there must be a reason for that. I mean, all these people aren't mentally impaired, for Christ's sakes. They
Well, do
can.
you think they don't see it? I don't know. Do you think they don't see it, or do you think that they're just looking the other way and hoping people don't realize?
That's
Are
where
we talking about voters or are we talking
we're
about
talking
elected
about we're
Republicans?
talking about the constituency.
Oh, the
Yeah.
constituents? Oh, yeah. Okay, different.
I
What were you talking about?
Well, I thought you were talking about like elected leaders
Well,
because
I
I
think
think
the
they
reason
see
the
it.
elected Joe talked to it. The reason
Yeah.
elected leaders aren't being forceful about it is the people that put them on the ballot for the general election, the primary voters, are saying you say anything against this guy and
Yeah.
you're done. And I think
yeah,
that's true.
they've never from the beginning, they've never been afraid of Trump, the Trump voters. Because I'm a weird uh never Trumper. I come from MAGA. I voted for him in 16. So I still engage with these people every day. They've never the elected officials have never feared Trump. John's right. They fear Trump's hold on the voters, on his base. Trump owns the base. But I'll tell you something scary. When I came out against Trump 7 years ago, pretty much every one of my former colleagues in the House and Senate called me privately and said, I agree with what you're saying about Trump publicly, Joe. I can't say that or I'll whatever. But now I think the true believer MAGAs, especially John and Maritza in the House, they've increased their numbers. Like I think the Republican caucus in the House is now a MAGA caucus. It's no longer fringe, and it's getting that way in the Senate. That's scary.
Yeah, it is. I mean, because it's taken us down a road where all the things that we value in democracies have be gone. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not.
and
Yeah, I always claim that he can pick off a Jeff Flake or he can pick off a Tom Tillis. If they got together and just said, "Hey, this is bullshit,"
yeah,
and I just don't know that. I think they could move the needle to common sense pretty quick because there ain't a lot of it back there right now.
Well, it's like the whole schoolyard bully thing, right? When
mhm.
everybody rises up and turns on the bully, look at that. The bully has no power anymore.
And that was you're right, Maurice, and that was the thing. There was a time, there was a moment where everybody had to stand up against him, and everybody didn't. I remember when I publicly came out against him 7 years ago, I looked behind me thinking a bunch of Republicans would join me. Nobody was there. And then I did the stupidest thing I've ever done in my life in 2019. I ran against him for the Republican nomination for president. What a stupid thing. And I thought a bunch of conservatives would be there, and nobody was there. So the problem is we all didn't rise up against him. Just a few of us did, and that doesn't have the same impact.
The challenge that you've got today, Joe, is that the conservatives should have been with you
Yes.
because Trump is not conservative. He is not
Fuck
conservative at all.
no.
We just increased the national debt by $3.3 billion. That's
Trillion,
not conservative.
trillion.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's a Freudian slip. $1 trillion. And you forget.
Thank God Maurice is here to fact check both you and
Yeah,
I, John.
no shit. Yeah, that's a fact. But the truth is that's not conservative. You don't do that shit if you're conservative. You're conservative and you actually believe that the national debt is a problem, which I think both of us do.
Yeah.
Then you do things to reduce that national debt. You don't increase it. That's a fact. And so
So
he's not conservative. So they
Well,
should have been there with you, and they weren't.
I had to laugh
yeah.
about his post on True Social last night. I think that you guys will have something to say about this. In all caps, of course, the great big beautiful bill will go down as one of the most consequential pieces of legislation in the history of our country. I can't disagree. It's pretty consequential.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's like, here's the thing though about like, so I come from the Tea Party and everybody's got a different idea what the Tea Party was. But John and Maritza, to me, it was all about the debt. That's what animated people like me and my buddy Rand Paul when we got elected. Now look at Rand Paul and Mike Lee. What the fuck happened to Mike Lee? What a fucking nut job he became. Oh my God. But there was an uglier aspect of the Tea Party. And it was kind of this nationalistic, we want America to be what it was in 1954, a white Christian place. And I kind of ignored that aspect. But I think that's the ugly aspect that Trump tapped into. And that's not conservative. That's just like cruel. And again, it's trying to take us back to an America that kind of never really existed.
That's true.
But Trump tapped into that.
That's true. That's an America that never really existed, that it only existed in certain people's minds, quite frankly.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm up in Northwest Montana right now. I was junior reporter at Kalispell when the Tea Party was established. And that was the very first time I felt unsafe at a public event because, I went down to cover it and I remember people rallied around me and there was a circle around me. And I was a what we call a one-man band. I had my own
Wow.
camera and my own tripod and they started chanting media whore.
Oh,
And
wow.
I remember thinking, "How am I gonna get out of this?" And I was ready to use the tripod to if I
Yeah.
had to.
Hear them?
Yeah, to spear them, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it was one of those things where it was I was down there to cover it, and then all of a sudden it took a really dark turn, like a really dark turn.
I still I still believe in the basic principles of the Tea Party. It was mostly, again, about the debt. But you two, the minute the Tea Party turned into MAGA, and the Tea Party helped lead to MAGA. I think I've publicly
Mhm.
apologized 9,764 times for helping to lead to Trump. But once it became MAGA, I said, I'm out of here. This is un-American. And now we're seeing it completely in full. What he's doing, disappearing brown and black people off of our streets to the debt, what he's doing to the debt, everything, John Maritza. It's a scary time.
So, Joe, I wanna ask you about your sorry, John, go ahead.
Well, and then to get back to Reagan, one of Reagan's last days in office, and Reese has heard this story way too many times. He talked about why this country was so great is because of our immigrants.
Yes.
Yep. And now they're bad. Now they traditionally throughout time, the Irish were bad, and the yeah. I mean, you go down the
The
list. But the truth
Greeks, the
is,
Italians, yeah.
The
well,
Greeks.
The Greeks still are bad. They still
Oh,
are.
They are.
still.
The
Okay.
Greeks and the Minnesotans. The Greeks and the Minnesotans are all bad. I'm just telling
For
you.
the record, Tester and Walsh agree on that one. John, I'm with you.
Yeah, yeah, right. Especially if their last name is Georgia. You know.
But John, you're right. Reagan was all about the shining city on the hill, right?
Yep.
Trump's the exact opposite. It's all about fear. If you're brown and black or different, we don't want you here. Like build a wall around America. It's all about fear. It's cruel.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
It absolutely is cruel. Go ahead, Maritza. We want to hear
I
the Greek opinion.
no, I lost my train of thought for a second, but I'll pull on that thread. I mean, first of all, let me just say, sitting in Montana, we're all immigrants unless you're indigenous here. So let's just say that. But I do want to talk about kind of some of the stuff that you've been posting about, Joe. Like I thought you made a really good point in this video that you recently posted about the whole thing with the Smithsonian, right? For folks who don't know, the Smithsonian basically removed Trump's name from an exhibit on impeachment. Like removed all record of it. Like the Smithsonian, this incredible institution. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So so it says impeachment, but no Trump. How does this work? If you remove his name, the impeachment was about Trump.
No,
And
it just says it didn't
John
happen.
Maritza, yeah, and it actually, John Maritza, they put into the exhibit only 3 presidents face the possibility of removal: Johnson, Clinton, and Nixon. They literally rewrote history. And
Literally.
again, the point is, look, Trump is who he is, but he's able to do what he does because people cave to him. The Smithsonian, these are historians. What the fuck? You're going to agree to lie about history? CBS News and all these other media companies caving to him. The colleges and universities caving to him. My Republican colleagues all doing what he says. I'm angry at his enablers way more than I am at him. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was gonna talk about, your post about that, because you say, like, "Hey, yeah, we know everyone can complain," and I walk around town, I walk into I say hi to people I know, and they say, "Oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do?" But they only talk about the administration, and I think you make a great point, like, people need to talk about these other these other enablers, and the Smithsonian, I just can't even believe that the most well-known museum organization in our country is going to literally rewrite history.
They are historians, and they agreed to lie about history. I mean, just think about that. Look, if you got Tester and Walsh together, we would laugh a whole bunch. But to make a really serious point, in our profession in the political profession, it's rare that people do the right thing. John Tester is a kind of guy who would always fucking do the right thing, even if he lost an election. And now look at him. He's sitting in his kitchen about to go out and do work on his farm. I'm a former congressman who did the right thing, and now look at me. I'm unemployed and not doing anything. But my God,
But we're
but we're
trying.
trying. But we won't stop this guy if people don't begin to do the right thing. The Smithsonian, CBS News, or pick any Republican. If they continue to enable him, we're fucked. We're just fucked.
So we got like, what's the path? Because I know you also shared this article about a leaked memo that shows plans to basically enact military style operations in cities across America to, you know, combat illegal immigration. So, like, how far does this go before people say, "Oh, that's our line"?
And maybe John Tester will think I'm crazy, but look, I think the biggest failure during these Trump years is the failure of imagination. If the three of us were together 20 years ago, and I would have told you there's going to be an American president who loses an election and refuses to accept the result, you would have thought I was high. And then if I would have told you, oh, and that guy is then going to commit crimes, he's going to try to overthrow that election, you would have walked out on me. But all of that happened. So I don't want us to fail to imagine what Trump might do next year. Like, I have no doubt that if things are going bad for Republicans, he'll try to fuck up the midterms. He may try to cancel the midterms. He wants to put the military on streets in blue cities and blue states. I believe to screw with the midterm elections. We all laugh. Will Trump try to run again in 28? Thank God he's old. I think if he were 10 years younger, automatically he would. We've got to prepare, I think, for the worst with this guy. I hope that doesn't sound crazy, Tom.
No, it does. It doesn't sound crazy. I think anything is possible until Congress does their job. I think if Congress continues
Yeah.
to do what they've been doing and be complicit with everything that comes down the pipe, even when they know it's wrong, even when they know it's their job not to be complicit and to be part of the checks and balances, absolutely anything is possible here. Anything.
Marie,
It, it,
Maritza, what's your biggest fear? What's your biggest fear in the next year or two with this guy?
I mean, well, for me as a longtime journalist, I am just devastated at the state of journalism and legacy
Yeah.
media in this country. So that for me, because I consider, we don't have a democracy without journalists, and so if we see all of these organizations fall and quit telling the truth, and I mean, I've have so many friends across the country still in newsrooms who
Yeah.
say, "Oh my gosh, I was told I couldn't say this, or I needed to be more fair or less, you know, I don't even know the words that they're using anymore, but basically to cover him in a more fair way because they
Yeah.
don't want retribution." That is I just can't imagine writing a story and saying, "Well, I don't want retribution." I mean, that's why we have journalists, and that's why, like, this independent journalism thing is so important on Substack right
Yes.
now. So that is terrifying, but, I see what's happening with the people just being disappeared like you talked about. And in Montana, we had, like, internment camps And,
Yeah.
you read the history. Did you guys see this guy running for governor in California? What he posted? He posted a picture of himself in front of, I think it was Auschwitz, and said
Oh,
that was
geez.
his unemployment plan. I mean, this is not just tongue in cheek stuff. And he said, "No, I wasn't joking. We have a problem, and we need like the rhetoric is getting so extreme and inflammatory." I just worry, we're to that point where we're starting. It's this. We see people as others, and I hate that as somebody who cares very much about other people. So
Well, and that, Maritza and John, that's what really scares me is all of my former Republican colleagues, they've watched what Trump's done from day one. I mean, he lies as he breathes. He engages in corruption. He doesn't care about the law. And what really scares me is we're seeing Republicans now imitate him. Well, Trump lies all the time and nothing happened to him. So other Republicans now openly lie. Other Republicans now openly talk in really mean, cruel ways about other Americans because they're imitating Trump, and Trump's never been held accountable for this stuff. So it's like Marisa, you mentioned that candidate in California, Republican. He feels liberated to do that because, Trump says shit like that. That's really scary.
I think that it's absolutely true. In fact, during his first term, my grandson, who is going to be heading off to college, was, what,
Wow.
8 years younger, and he said if we would have done, he was in junior high or grade school. He said if we would have done what the president of the United States has done, we would be suspended from school.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
and so I think we're not only seeing it from political folks. I think you're seeing it in business too. I think you're seeing
Yes.
uh, uh, and I mean, yeah, and I think it's the same thing with politics as it is in business. If you are not telling the truth, Trump's the exception. If you're not telling the truth, usually it will put you out of business. Okay, and
well, and I worry too about the next generation because I have an
Mhm.
almost 14-year-old son. And the stuff that I hear the kids saying at his school, they're learning, and then I say, how can they say that? And I go on any kind of social media post and see their parents posting
Yeah.
stuff that's just inflammatory and egregious and hateful. So I worry about the lessons we are um, giving our kids too. And I
yeah,
think it's important,
there was
And
my
go ahead, John.
just a case in point. My other grandson was playing uh, little league this year. One of the kids on his team comes from immigrant family, and one of the kids from the other dugout, when he came up to bat, said, "Call ice." And the fucking umpires didn't kick
Oh,
that kid out of the game. The umpire said, "Oh, I didn't hear it. Everybody else heard it.
oh,
Everybody in the stands heard it." You know, and I don't mean that fucking umpires. Umpires are great because they're doing this stuff and it's hard work. But the
mm,
truth is that you can't let that kind of shit stand. I mean, if a kid was playing basketball and he gave the opposing coach the finger, they'd kick his ass out of the game. You can't do that kind of stuff and let
it's
him get away with it.
it's why I believe you two. Again, my vantage point is skewed because I talk to MAGA every day, and MAGA loves the cruel shit that Trump is doing. Like, the cruelty appeals to them. But most Americans are not cruel. And him going into Home Depot parking lots and 7-Eleven parking lots and hospitals and courthouses and grabbing immigrants without any criminal record, this is cruel. This is abject cruelty, and I think more than any other issue, and Maritza, it's your business, it's because we're seeing the videos and images of this. The American people, I think, in '26 are gonna recoil against this cruelty. This is not what America should be. That's my hope.
Yep. Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, I honestly would
Mm.
love, because most of the folks, I would guess, on the MAGA side of things say, because we heard this from people who were in Washington, D.C., you're picking on Trump. Quit picking on Trump. Quit giving him a bad time because that's all you're doing. This is all Trump made up stuff, trumped up stuff. And so he just quit picking on him. When the truth is, that's not the truth. When the truth is, when he fires, and I bring this up because it's a small thing, but it's a big thing because it reduces trust in
Yeah.
government. When he
Yeah.
fires the person that gives the jobs report because it's so not the right number that he likes, that that's not right, and it's not right in anybody's book. Even if you are a mega person, you should be able to see that. But how do you influence? How do you the
John
what's real
Tester,
news is fake
John
news, and what's
Tester,
fake news is real news.
John Tester. My
Tell me.
God, if I were with you right now, I would slap you upside the head.
Oh, come on.
He, and by the way, Marisa, Tester would slap me back and I'd be on the floor right now.
You'd
My
be in the
God,
basement.
he lost 5 years ago. He lost an election and refused to accept the results. The only candidate in American history goes against everything we taught our kids. You lose, you concede, you shake the winner's hands. So he did that, John, and yet almost all of his base stood with him. And 80% of Republicans still believe he won that freaking election. So he survived that. You're right. Getting rid of the statistician who put out the jobs report is like nothing. By the way, John, who's going to believe the next person he hires?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Well,
It's
it just
crazy.
feels like we're inching closer to Russia, right? I mean, like,
Yes.
okay, that's just what it feels like.
so the
Well, the only
information comes
difference,
out.
Marie says, Putin would have his statistician killed, like
Killed.
thrown
Yeah,
from a
you're right.
window.
You're right.
So the information that comes out now on the economy and the
Yeah.
jobs is going to have to come from the private sector.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe the monetary folks have a finger on it, but the truth is, this is really the government's job to do this in an unbiased
Yeah.
fashion, to bring out the facts so we know where it's at.
But
Okay, so we're
Maritza and
talking.
John, here's the issue, you two. Everything we're saying right now is spot on and it's wrong and it's un-American and it needs to be defeated. My former party needs to be defeated. But let's pull back. Here's the bigger problem. This former Tea Party guy became a Democrat 8 years ago. What the fuck? I became a Democrat because I want to help defeat my former party. But John Tester, you know it. Our Democratic Party has real fucking issues. As bad as Trump and MAGA are, the Democratic Party's numbers are in the toilet. I made a
Right.
bet that we can be a big enough tent, a tent big enough for Joe Walsh and a Zoran Mamdani. I think we need that big of a tent to win.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the truth is that, um, and I've said this 1,000 damn times, but the Democrats need to have a platform that is not "we are better than them," and it's not
Yeah,
"we're for democracy," and they're not. That actually talks about issues people are talking about, whether it's housing or inflation or whatever it might be, national defense. All that stuff is important to people that are out there, and the truth is that's why Trump got pissed at his statistician, because the economy, and you can see it, inflation's going through the damn roof. Go to the store and buy some stuff. Go buy some electric wire, for Christ's
yeah,
sakes. It is so expensive you couldn't afford to build a house right now.
yeah,
Go, groceries. Everything is inflation is across the board going up. And by the way, that tends to fuck with the job market, and that's what
yeah.
happened. And now you're going to have information coming out from Washington, D.C. that was trustworthy that isn't going to be trustworthy anymore.
I do want to get your take though, Joe. The story we haven't talked about, which seems to be the breaking point for people that I never thought would break with Trump, is Jeffrey Epstein. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
do you see that being his Achilles heel? Because I never thought I would see Nick Fuentes get on a rant and say that Meg is the biggest scam in American history. And you're a former right-wing radio guy. I mean, what do you think? How do you see that playing out? Because you can say what you want about people like Joe Rogan, but he's influential.
yes. Spot on. This is different, this whole Epstein thing, because for years, Trump and all of his right-wing cheerleaders were saying that this is going to be the mother of all scandals. This Epstein thing will finally expose the deep state. Nothing animates the MAGA base more than this notion of the deep state. And so then when Trump gets elected and he says there's nothing there, let's move on, I can tell you, talking to MAGA every day, they're confused and some of them are really angry. But I don't think this has like hurt him with his base yet. It's hurt him with some influential media cheerleaders like Rogan, but they're still going to give Trump great room to maneuver here. But something's got to be eventually it's got to be released, or a lot of his MAGA people may just not even vote next year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's weird.
we,
It's just weird.
we, I think the deep state thing is interesting because the Republicans control the presidency and they control both houses. They actually control the Supreme Court too. And
Yeah.
so, why are you holding back on the information? Let the information out. You got control over the perceived bad guys. Let it out. Let the people know who the bad guys are that are running the deep state because it. I don't know. Christ almighty.
His supporters, when they talk to me every day, his supporters are confused. Like they don't know why he's not releasing it when he promised there was something big here. So they're waiting to see what he's going to do.
Okay, so you floated this idea last week about a national strike, like in September.
I love it.
I want to get people's input on this. Like, just say no to work, to buying things, to all of it. Just say no. I mean, listen, I love the idea of just sitting home in my pajamas all day. It sounds great. But I do want to ask, like, how you think that works? Because there are people who need to go to work. There are
Yeah.
people who need to put food on the table, who don't have childcare, who whatever. And so, like, how do we see that work in a big, broad way, like we saw with the No Kings protests, where people can actually do something like that?
And maybe John Tester will disagree with me. Maritza, you're right. A national strike where we all literally take a day off, it can only work if it's a big, broad thing. And I just threw it out there because I think we have to do a lot more than just protest. Like, I really fucking believe our democracy is hanging by a thread. And I don't think the No Kings protest and all of this is enough. I think we're going to get to the point where we have to engage in civil disobedience, which is our right as Americans. So I was trying to think of bigger, more impactful, kind of out there things we could do. The notion of a national strike. Everybody who can take a day off of work, just fucking do it. Don't work and don't buy anything. And I think of Gandhi and I think of the power of a nonviolent, peaceful uprising. Uh, Somehow, Maritza, I think we've got to begin to think this way because this is really something big's going on in this country right now. And I think our politicians are not going to get us to the promised land. John talked about the courts. The courts are doing the best they can. They're not going to save us. This has got to be, I think, where the American people rise up and do something different.
Yeah.
What do you
Well, I
think,
mean, look, it
John?
would definitely get people's attention.
Tester doesn't like the idea of taking a day off. John
No, I
Tester would
think
never take a day off.
every day's a vacation day for me, man. I mean, working with Maritza, it's just vacation day after vacation day after vacation day. But I mean, there's no doubt about it. If people stayed home, took their vacation day and stayed home and didn't buy anything, holy shit. But
Maritza, go ahead, John. Keep going.
well, but then the administration, Trump in particular, would come out and say, well, this was fine. This worked out good. Didn't hurt the economy at all.
Well, there would be gaslighting. Yeah, like, no, no, everything's good. It's all fine.
But Maritza, from your viewpoint, if you could do it in a big, broad way, like a national strike where damn near everybody took a day off, didn't work, and didn't buy anything, could that have some impact?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think about what was it? gosh, time is such a weird, warped thing right now. But a few months ago, there was that push to quit buying. Like there was a day
Yeah,
when they said, don't buy anything. And I remember talking to my best friend about this. She goes, I don't even think it did anything. But then it did, like Target and some of these retailers came out and said,
they
yeah, it
got hurt.
did. And I think that was just a sliver of people who had buy-in. So I think the key is to make it really and like something that has great impact
Huge.
is you need
Yeah.
buy-in from all kinds of organizations. And I liked what Heather Cox Richardson said about this. Like, you can't have a purity test here. Like, it can't be
No,
something like, well, what kind of Democrat are you? Or what kind of independent are you? Or what kind of rhino are you? Like, it's just, do you all agree on this one thing that what's happening is going in a
that's
bad
it.
direction and there can't be a
Yeah.
purity test? A
Or
tester
you
has something to say.
or you could look at it this way. If the tariffs continue, there won't be anything on the shelves for people to go buy anyways.
Yeah.
So in essence,
Yeah.
you won't have to go shopping because there will be nothing there on the shelves that you could afford if you could afford it. Anyway,
I do want to ask, oh, wait, I have a question for you because we haven't talked about this in a public way yet, John. But okay, so we had two kind of vanity projects this week that came out that I think are worth mentioning. So we have, which, by the way, when we're talking about people and voters and kitchen table issues like affording groceries, how can they
Yeah.
look at the announcement of a $200 million golden ballroom in the White House and say, yeah, that's totally relatable? I can totally relate with the need for that. So let's talk about that. But also, this reporting that the government transferred almost $1 billion to an unnamed classified project, a Pentagon project. That money was allocated to pay for this upgrade and modernization of our nuclear missile system. I know some of those sites are near where John lives in Montana. They're crumbling, they're in severe disrepair. And they moved the money from that project to this unnamed project. And then the New York Times came out and said, oh, that project is to upgrade and retrofit the Qatari plane that will be Trump's Air Force One. So, like, are those issues going to get to people and say, "Oh, I do care about our nuclear missile system, and I think we should worry about that"?
I, uh, I see DeJohn on the second one. I don't think the second one will resonate with the American people, but the first one might. I mean, to John's point, Trump inherited a hell of an economy and he's fucking it single-handedly. So you contrast that with this guy who wants to build a $200 million ballroom to the White House. That's a bad look, I think, with average folk. That if Democrats are smart, they'll pound.
yeah, I think the issue of transferring the money uh, to the Qatari airplane has been a cluster from the beginning. The Qatari
Mhm.
airplane has, but uh, I can tell you from a national defense standpoint, it's really bad. It's really bad. But most people don't see it that way. There'll be a lot of people out there that are happy the money's transferred because they don't believe in the ICBMs. But the truth is, it will have a delaying effect on this, and it's been delayed enough already. Um, it's just really bad. But this isn't the first time this has happened. He's transferred money out of the Defense Department while talking about a strong defense, while screwing all our allies, while not sticking up for Ukraine, while patting Putin and Xi Jinping on the back. I mean, all this stuff goes on every day, and people are thinking, "Oh, things are just fine," until they aren't, and then it'll be too late.
And look, I remember there were two kinds of people who voted for Trump. His hardcore base, and not much is gonna budge them. I try. It's God's work, it's almost impossible, but not much is gonna budge them. But then there were a lot of people who voted for Trump who told me, "Look, Joe, I know Trump's an asshole, but the Democrats suck or the border's broken or whatever." These people are reachable. They're going to be bothered by a lot of this stuff that's going on. Now, the Democrats gotta be something, but they can be easily moved in the midterms.
I agree with that 100%. Democrats got to be something. And I think if you give those folks a place to land, they'll land, and they'll land pretty damn quick
Boom.
because they don't like what they're smelling either.
The beauty of doing this on Substack Live is that we get real-time feedback and questions, and so I do want because I think that's important in this community. That's, like, my favorite
Absolutely.
part about this community is that we can interact with people and engage, and Mary put a question, and I do wanna hear what you think. Like, what are your thoughts on the escalation rhetoric with Putin, like, vis-a-vis moving the nuclear submarine? So Trump, moved 2 nuclear submarines into place because there's been, like, a war of words. So both of you, what do you think?
John, you start.
I think it's much ado about nothing. You got to look at what he's done in the past, and what he's done in the past is he has enabled, as we're talking about enablers, he's enabled Putin to do what Putin's done. He has hung Ukraine out, whether it was through the Oval Office visit or whether it was, oh, we're going to put tariffs on you in 50 days. 50 days is a lifetime for the people in Ukraine, literally a lifetime. And so, Trump all the time says one thing and does exactly the opposite. And I've given the examples over and over again. I think this is a prime example. Said one thing,
I'll ju-
exactly the opposite. But by the way, let's say he wasn't. Let's say he's doing this for real. Are you actually ready to go and have a nuclear war with Russia as you pull how much was it? A billion, a trillion, 100 million, 200 million out of the Defense
A
Department? This
a
goes for
billion.
a million. Okay.
A billion with a B.
A
B.
billion with a B. I get lost in the zeros. But the truth is that I just think he's saying one thing and doing another. I mean, I can't help to think that him and Putin aren't still patting. Well, let me put it this way: Putin's patting him on the back and building his ego as he's taking advantage of the situation. Anyway, go
He's
ahead.
no, and I'll just add to what John said. Look, Trump works for Putin. To me, as long as Trump is in the White House, we are not standing with the free world. But this one incident with the nuclear subs, Trump spouting off. I mean, Medved, the Russian, just tweeted something silly and crazy. And then right away, Trump says, I'm going to reposition our nuclear subs. I think that will remind many Americans just of how chaotic Trump can be. And that I think will
And
help move some voters.
and also, who's got their finger on the nuclear button?
Thank you.
Right,
Thank you,
that's what
John
I was
Tester.
thinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Joe, I also wanted to ask you, sorry, I'm just throwing stuff at you now, but I did want to ask you about this whole redistricting thing. Yeah, who's ready for the fight? I mean, you lost
Yeah.
your seat, like, because of redistricting. And
Yeah.
so, for people who haven't been following this, basically Texas is going to go forward, it seems, with this redistricting plan in between these 10 years that they normally do redistricting. They usually do it right after a census. It's not what's happening here, and they've said this is to try to accomplish the president's goal of adding more Republican seats in Congress a year before the midterms, we should say. So they've proposed this map to redistrict Texas. The Cook Political Report said they showed early analysis that showed it could help the GOP win 30 districts in Texas. And now, while this is just a first map proposal, now Gavin Newsom, governor of California, is saying, all right, we're going to redraw our maps if you do this. Like, what do you think of this whole thing as somebody who literally lost your seat because of this redistricting effort in Illinois?
Look, this is mid-decade redistricting. Mid-decade. This is cheating. This is undemocratic cheating. Period. And DeSantis came out, I think, last night and said he's going to look to do the same thing in Florida. Ohio, Red Ohio is looking to do the same thing. I don't know where John is on this, but look, I believe we're at war to try to save our democracy. So if Republicans are going to do this shit, which is cheating and it's wrong, I think Democrats have no fucking choice but to fight back and do it wherever they can, as bad as a precedent as it will set. John Tester?
Well, I think it sucks. Both sides sucks. I think the gerrymandering thing is something that we should be able to fix. We should be able to fix with AI, like with the pushing of one button,
Yes.
tell you how to fix it. And yeah, I do agree with you. If the Republicans are going to go down this line, the Democrats have to too. But
Have to.
the truth is it's a shitty precedent to set, and it doesn't fix the problem. And the problem is gerrymandering. Just like money in politics, you don't get the best people elected that'll represent you in the best way in Washington, D.C.
Amen.
Because
Amen. And by the way, as a sidelight, you two, Democrats will have a harder time doing this redistricting because Democrats, the party of good government, have more states like California where they do leave it up to a nonpartisan commission. So some of these Democratic states are going to have to change their state constitution. I think California will if they want to play around with redistricting.
the truth is this is just bad for democracy. Really, really, really bad for democracy. And if you
Yeah.
think Congress can't get any more dysfunctional, this will make it more dysfunctional.
Yeah.
Okay, so as we try to leave on a hopeful note, Joe, what gives you hope? Like, we try to stay grounded here in all of this.
By
We
the
go
way,
through
that's
all
a
of the
great
headlines and we
th
we try.
great name for the podcast, Grounded. Who came up with that, by the way?
I stole it from his book. That was the name of Tester's book,
Yes.
and I
That's right.
stole it.
That's
But
right.
also, we do wanna stay grounded, and, I joked in the beginning, like, we were both grounded, like, in a bad sense. We were both grounded from our jobs, so
Here's what
No,
Marisa, here's
no,
what gives me hope.
'kay.
Here's the only thing that gives me hope. The 3 of us on a Sunday morning are drinking coffee together, and we are embracing and talking and laughing to try to save democracy. 10 years ago, no fucking way are Tester and Walsh talking to each other. I'm the crazy, angry Tea Party guy. Tester and Walsh would be fighting. Again, I'd be on the floor. Trump is so bad and so un-American. I think he's woken up this big resistance movement who will endeavor to save what we've got. Joe Walsh became a Democrat. That never ever would have happened if Trump and my former party hadn't done what they did. So the fact that we've got this big fucking tent gives me some hope.
well, I would just say welcome aboard, Joe. But I will tell you this. I will say this, and I mean this, and I think it's good to have. I think it's good to have you on this side. But the democracy will work again when Joe Walsh finds a home back in the Republican Party. And you say, you know what, the Republican Party has gotten back to its roots and changed again. Now, I don't expect you to comment on that, but the truth is you came to this side, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you came to the Democratic side because the Republican side was so damn bad.
Mhm.
It would be great if the Republican side, so this was a tough choice for you, where you would say, you know what, these guys believe in some that I believe in, and these guys believe in some that I believe in, but I'm more over here than over there. Now it's like these guys don't believe in anything I believe in, so I'm going over here.
John, there's a lot of truth in that. But I also joined because you guys, the Democrats, believe in democracy, the rule of law, and basic human decency. And right now, those are at risk. But also, I don't believe my Republican Party will ever come back. I want to help the Democratic Party be a more common sense, let's get shit done in the middle party. By the way, Maritza, let me make some news. Can I propose a presidential ticket for 28? We'll call it the old fart white guy ticket. Put Tester at the top of the ticket and I'll be his VP.
Now,
Done.
the other way, stop, the other way around.
Done.
The other way around. I want to cut the ribbons. I don't want to have to do this.
I wanna wait, can you cut a ribbon with that hand?
No, I can.
Okay, I was gonna ask you, first of all, this is not the first time I've heard John Tester's name thrown around 2028, but I wanted to ask you, like, are you considering a run as a Democrat for something?
Yes, always. Would love to run again. But I don't know where. And maybe it's too soon. All I want to do is help the party defeat my former party. But I'd love to run again for something.
Wow, John, that's a different answer than you give us.
What does John say?
John
Hip
John
hop.
says John says it's time for a new generation to step up to the plate
Oh,
because
bullshit.
I'm telling you. No, I'm telling you. I think one of the things that Democrats, by the way, this isn't breaking news. One of the mistakes Democrats make is we tend to go back to the old guys and gals all the time and say, "Run, I can give you plenty of names." And the truth is that my my son's 40, my daughter's 45. It's time for them. It's time for that generation to step up and do it. I don't care if it's through the state legislature, through Congress, or through the President of the United States. Remember when Kennedy ran against Nixon? Both those dudes are in their early 40s, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah.
Biden runs against Trump, and they're both octogenarians, for God's sake. So I think it's time. By the way, in that 1960 election,
Yeah.
those were pretty goddamn good times, by the way, when you had the next generation step up the plate and hit the fucking ball. And that's what needs to happen now. The young people
I,
in this country has got more at risk in these elections than you and I do, Joe. And they need to step up.
I agree with everything Tester just said. I would just say we welcome folks of all fucking ages. I'd love to see a first time 70-year-old run for Congress, right? How cool would that be? But John's
Oh.
right. John's right. We need younger people really engaged.
I don't know. I like you talk about. I think there's never a better time. It seems in our history to be an old white guy tester.
Ooh, done. I love it. We'll
Look,
call it the Tester Walsh ticket. I fucking love it.
Oh boy, you got
I like,
so I'm
I
gonna need to
like,
send you
I,
Charla's number. You need Charla's buy-in on this show.
I want to
Don't-
go back. I want to go back to the old Chevrolet work truck. We're going to call it the WT ticket. Okay.
I like it. That's a winner, John.
Oh, I like
Mauricio,
it.
we made some news. We made some news. We're running for president in 28. President and VP.
By the
Tester
way,
Walsh.
Oh,
I fucking love it.
hey, Walsh,
I like.
in a previous life, are you an attorney? Because I'm going to need one because my wife will
No,
divorce me.
no.
Oh,
John,
look
I'll
at you, an
talk to her.
attorney.
Yeah, yeah. John, give me 20 minutes with your wife. I'll have her on our side.
I'm
Done.
tell- I, I would bet you any amount of money you want to bet on that one, big boy. I'm telling
20 minutes, big fella. 20 minutes is all I need. This has
Okay,
been a ball, you two.
could we wait though? Could we have that conversation live? I think the rest of us want to hear that conversation that you're going to have with Charla.
I would
Maritza,
that
I promise you, we will make that conversation live. 20 minutes.
Okay.
I will mention it to Charlotte today. I will say we talked to you and we want you to go on Joe Walsh's show and tell
Right.
Joe.
One rule, though. Maritza, one rule. John Tester cannot be in the room.
No, I won't be in the room. I won't be in the
Yeah.
room. I won't.
Okay.
He won't want to be anywhere near that room. I
No, I won't.
guarantee it.
In fact, I'll be out of my shop, which is about 100 yards away, and I'll be able to hear the explosion from there.
No
Yeah.
way.
Those
I
nuclear
will.
missile silos have nothing on what he's about to see.
Oh boy, no shit.
I will have her melting. This will be
Big,
awesome. 20
big red,
minutes.
big red glow, big red glow. I'm telling
Well, Joe, I hate to even end this because it's been fun. I hope that we could do this more often. I mean, it's just fun to shoot the shit with you. And we hope, I mean, come out to Montana, come see us. It's foggy where I am. I keep hoping we get a view of the lake, but
He just
where'd he
went
go?
dark. He went dark.
I think that's him saying, no, I'm out. I don't want to, no, I'm out.
Is he out?
I don't know. We'll see. He'll come back, maybe. He'll come back. That was fun. So we still have folks live, and we have people saying,
Yeah,
"Oh,
he's
he's
gone,
gone."
Johnson. Yeah, he's gone.
I'll see if I can invite him back in to say
Must have
goodbye.
must have been something you said, Maritza.
Probably, maybe it was something you said. How do you know it's
No,
me?
I just told him the facts that there would be a big red glow in this conversation.
I think you're right. My money's on your prediction on that
Well,
one.
my money's on
I
my
know
wife.
Charla.
Telling you.
I know Charla. Joe doesn't know Charla, so we'll
Yeah,
see.
exactly. He
I
doesn't.
wonder if his phone died like yours has died before.
Could be. See,
That's what the thing with these substacks.
I'm down to 16%. I bet his phone did die. Yeah.
That's my big plea to Substack. Let me do this on my computer. We always have to do it on our phone or a
Yeah.
tablet. I wanna do it on the computer. Okay, so, for folks who aren't normally with us here on Grounded, we end our show by, just kinda wrapping up the conversation, and then I ask Senator Tester about the hat he's wearing because he has
Yeah.
this, like, very large collection of hats. So, what do you think? Like, that was quite a conversation. You guys are a good pair.
Well, yeah, look, I think he's great. I think he's much more fed up than I am, to be honest with you. I mean, he's
Oh.
older. I think that, yeah,
Well,
I
he
look,
is younger.
I'm
He
plenty
is
fed
younger.
up. I'm plenty fed up, but he's like, you know, all the enablers are bullshit. I'm still not willing to go there. I still think that there's decent people in the Senate. They just need to stand up and understand that there's more lying here than their service in the Senate or the House. It's really, this is big time stuff, and they were elected to be leaders. They need to be leaders, and you aren't leaders by being a follower, and that's the truth. And so, but as far as Joe goes, Joe's a good dude. I would love to go have a beer with Joe Walsh. I think it would be a lot of fun. I think the bullshit would flow, and I
Oh,
think it
boy.
would necessarily all be bullshit. I think he made a ton of good points today that I can't argue with at all. And so it was good to have him on. I appreciate his time early Sunday morning, although he was in Illinois, so hell, it was pretty late there. But
That's only an hour ahead of us.
that's an hour. That's an hour of good work that, he could have been up earlier. So it's all good.
Well, yeah, and so for folks who don't know this, we do a little bit of a farming report on our show too, because John
Yeah.
Tester is very much a working farmer, and he's been fighting with rain. Usually you want rain, but not during harvest.
So if we'd have got this rain in May, I would have been rich. And if we'd have got May weather now, we'd have the crop. But I'd be doing this from the combine because we'd be cutting right now. But it has rained probably 2 inches in the last 2 weeks. In the end of July, the 1st of August, which does nothing but raise hell with the quality of the grain and makes it so you can't harvest. And we need some 95, 100-degree days for about 2 weeks, and
Ah.
then we could burn this stuff off and get it in the bin. But
Like, I want
dri-
you to succeed
driving
on the farm, but
driving me nuts.
as a wildfire reporter who
Yeah,
has covered fire for a
yeah.
long, long time, like, that gives me anxiety, but I get that
No,
you do
no,
it for the
no. Well,
farm.
look, the other night, uh, uh, like 3 nights ago, we had a lightning storm come in and set two fires off in wheat fields that are ripe. And
Yeah,
thank God for
it's
the
not
fire.
good either.
They could put them out, and then like 5 hours later, it rains. So what the hell, It's crazy.
Okay, so let's talk about your hat.
Yeah,
I see clearly you are wearing a Montana Rail Link hat, Washington Corporation.
yeah. They sold out. They peeled off shit. I don't know, 40, 50 years ago, and built this southern line that then they ran it. And then they've Burlington Northern reacquired it, so these guys no longer exist. But I just grabbed it.
Just grabbed it.
They did some good things, and some people would say they did some bad things. But in the end, we need rail infrastructure in this country, and they were part of that rail infrastructure.
Okay. Well, we want to thank you so much for joining us early on a Sunday morning as you drink your coffee with us. Of course, you can find us here on Substack. We're also on Blue Sky, Instagram, YouTube. You can also listen where you get your podcasts. You can shoot us an email as well. We are at groundedpcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And this conversation and conversations like it only work because of these amazing people we have joining us. So we want to thank you so very much. We want to thank our guest, former Representative Joe Walsh. What a kick in the pants he is. Just real fun guy. We want to thank our friends at Pearl Jam who let us use their music. And again, all of you, our listeners, we'll chat again soon.
Amen to all that. Tally ho.